Hello and welcome to 3 Minute Gaming. I'm Nathan, and today I'm going to tell you if this game's worth your time and bandwidth.
Today's game is the QuByte's classic Tinhead. Two versions of a 16-bit Euro platformer, one never released before, are all out via QuByte. Does this retro game hold up, or is it rusty? Let's find out. Tinhead is the release of both the Genesis and an unreleased but now released Super Nintendo game, both of which are 2D Euro-style platformers of the era. You play as Tinhead, a robot defender of the universe after a big jerk sucks up all the stars. No, not the King of Cosmos from Katamari, though he is a repeat offender. Your objectives are simple. Find a star in each stage, then make your way to the exit to continue across 4 worlds, each with around 4 levels and a boss apiece. From a level design perspective, this is very much of the European style of the era, which is to say large, semi-linear levels with multiple tiers, tons of points items bouncing all over the place, and plenty of exploration. These types of games often fall into the trap of being too big and are unclear on where to go, but thankfully Tinhead actually has some solid directional level design, which encourages exploration, but the primary route is almost always findable. The combat's definitely its more unique mechanic. Tinhead can fire ball bearings out of his noggin, but the trajectory can be changed. Fire at an upward angle directly in front or downward where they bounce around. You can change this on the fly in the Genesis version, while the SNES version has dedicated buttons for each angle, which makes combat a lot simpler. Similarly, the number of balls you can shoot is increased or decreased based on both power-ups and if you get hit. Tinhead also has limited health, but thankfully health power-ups are plentiful, and let me just give you a pro tip. Use the password Flimbo for unlimited lives and Camels for unlimited balls, and you'll have a much better experience. Platforming across the levels never gets too tricky, as the primary emphasis is more on exploration and finding that right route. The game also has a nice ramp up in difficulty as it progresses, with platforming challenges and hazards increasing the further along you get, as per usual. In terms of modern upgrades, this is a QuByte Classics release, so there really isn't much. You have save states, and that's pretty much it. And that is Tinhead, a retro Euro platformer with some interesting ideas, re-released for the masses because I assume the license is cheap. So what did I like about Tinhead? Well, the combat revolving around being able to choose the correct angle for your projectile is actually a neat concept, and the game does reasonably well designing enemies and scenarios that test your ability to be responsive on the fly. Additionally, there's a very charming art style throughout, and while it may be a little too busy in parts, the visuals overall are memorable, and each world is distinct. And lastly, the game and level design is fun in a retro platformer way, though I will say I played with those aforementioned cheats / upgrades, which really improved the experience. It's a solid enough game for the era, and one I never played before. When it comes to the bad, though Tinhead's fine, it's really just fine, and really only for those who like the British style of open level platformers. It's also hampered by weird jumping momentum and physics that can lead to some frustrating scenarios. Additionally, the SNES version here is more a mess than anything, with bugs and poor frame rate and weird darkened visuals that hamper the experience. I appreciate its better control scheme, but the game itself is definitely the lesser of the two. And lastly, the input lag here makes easy platforming sections more troubling, and is paired with QuByte's usual laggy and mediocre wrapper for save states and UI for its classic releases. It's overall very clunky to use. As you know, I rate games here on a 3-point scale: must play, maybe consider, and don't bother. And Tinhead isn't some hidden masterpiece of the 16-bit era, but I was surprised I had a lot of fun with it once I put in some slightly cheaty passwords. Its targeted attack mechanic is strategic and fun, and the levels are around just the right size to be engaging without being frustrating. That being said, you should only get this version if you absolutely are enamored with this style of Euro platformer, because the QuByte inclusions are sadly subpar and don't elevate this game to modern standards like they probably should. Tinhead's fine, and that's the bottom line. That's all I have for you today. Thank you so much for watching. If you played or even heard of Tinhead, did you play the original game? Do you even care? Let me know what you think in the comments, and regardless, go out there and maybe give Tinhead a look.